Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Vendread deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an awesome ritual zombie deck that can make some absolutely incredible boards. I've included some really spicy tech cards in this build for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Vendread Slayer. This card is definitely a 3-of in the deck, and it's an awesome boss monster for this build. It has a really cool ability that you can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell, and once per battle, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, quick effect, you can banish a zombie monster from your graveyard, and this card gains 300 attack points permanently. And if this card is ritual summoned and it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send a Vendread monster from your deck to the grave, which is a really cool effect to be able to use. And this card is going to gain some really insane bonus effects because depending on the ritual materials that you use between your Vendread monsters in this deck, this card gets bonus effects, which is really insane. We then play 2 copies of Battlelord. Battlelord is basically like the shock master of the deck, with this card being able to turn off entire types of cards, which is really cool about this card. It has the ability to ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell card, and you can banish 1 Vendread card from your graveyard and then declare a type of monster, spell, or trap, and for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects with the same type as that you declare, essentially being able to turn off an entire type like Shockmaster, which is amazing about this card. This card also has the ability if this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send a Vendread monster from your deck to the grave, which is great to help you get your Vendread monsters into the grave. We then play a single copy of Vendread Scavenger. Scavenger is really good as a 1-of in the deck, and this card can get absolutely massive. This card is really cool in this deck, and it has the ability you can ritual summon this card with any Vendread ritual spell, and during the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute any other zombie monster, and then this card gains attack equal to the tributed monster's original attack until the end of the turn, which this card can get huge in the deck to help you OTK. It also has the ability, if you control Slayer, and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you can even use this card as link material to step into another monster, and then just bring it back to your side of the field if you control a copy of Slayer, which is amazing about this card, making this card a great 1-of in the deck. The reason I bumped this card down to 1 is because it's so searchable in this particular build. We then play 2 copies of Scar of the Vendread. Scar of the Vendread is definitely a 2-of in the deck and is a really amazing card in this deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Vendread spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to be able to search out the cards like Vendread Knight or one of our ritual spells, which is really insane. We even have a really powerful trap card in this deck that you can search with this card. It also has the ability that if a monster on the field is tributed while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish one of their zombie monster from your grave to instantly special summon this card back to the field, but if you do, while this card's face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except Vendread monsters, which is totally fine because we can always link it away for a copy of our Savior, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Vendread Revenants. Revenants is great as a 1-of the deck. I have considered bumping this card up to 2, but for now I feel like 1 is the perfect number. It's really good because if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card by battle by card effect and sent to the grave, you can special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field, and a Vendread ritual monster that uses this card as a material gains a falling effect. Then once per turn, quick effect, you can target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and instantly banish it, which is a great effect that every single turn you're banishing a special summon monster that your opponent controls, which is great to be able to give to any of your ritual monsters. We then play a single copy of Hound Horde. Hound Horde's really good because a monster that uses this card as a material to ritual summon gains the ability that once per turn, quick effect, you can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and banish it, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Striggs. Striggs is definitely a 1-of in this deck, because this card can actually special summon itself back from the graveyard, which is a really cool thing about this card. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can reveal a Vendread card in your hand, and then special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. And then if you use this card as a material to ritual summon a Vendread monster, it gains the ability that after damage calculation, if it battles an opponent's monster, then you can draw a card and then discard a card, helping you dig into the deck, which is a super cool thing about this card. We then play 3 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is one of the most powerful zombie support cards ever printed, being a walking foolish barrel that can level manipulate itself to get to the exact level that you need, while also being a tuner, which is really good about this card and helps out a lot in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Shiranui Solitaire, which is essentially 2 more copies of Unizombie, because you contribute this card to be able to special summon out 1 zombie tuner with 0 defense, which Unizombie does have, so basically you're playing 5 copies of Unizombie in the deck. We then play a single copy of Plague Spreader. Plague Spreader is really good as a 1F in the deck because it's going to help you get an additional monster on your side of the field to use as link material or even synchro summon with, which is really nice because if this card's in the graveyard, you can place 1 card from your hand on the top of your deck and then special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field, which is a really good effect just to help you get an additional body on board. We then play 3 copies of an extremely spicy tech card in the deck, and that's going to be 3 copies of Diviner of the Heralds. Diviner of the Heralds is a really awesome card in the deck, and this card helps you out so much to go into boss monsters and is a really good card to help you search cards from the deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send a fairy monster from your deck or extract to the graveyard, and we do increase this card's level by that monster that was sent to the graveyard by this card's ability, which is a cool effect because you can send Herald of Arclight to the graveyard to make this card a level 6 and get a search of a ritual monster or a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, but by turning this card into a level 6, you're going to be able to step into some really crazy boss monsters, because this card is a level 6 tuner and your copy of your Slayer is a level 6 regular monster. You can actually summon out your copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in, which is a really cool boss monster that you can actually summon using these 2 cards, which I love about this deck. It's super cool and really amazing because you're pretty much going to set up with your copy of Diviner already to be able to summon out your copy of your Slayer, which is just super cool. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is really good as a 3F in the deck, just to stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's a great card in this particular build. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is definitely a 1F in the deck just to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Vendread Charge. Vendread Charge is great to help you get your Vendread monsters on your side of the field and searchable off of Scar, which is why I play this card as a 1F, and lets you send a zombie monster from your hand or face over field to the grave, and then if you do, special summon out a Vendread monster from your deck, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Vendread Knights. Vendread Knights is an awesome field spell that you only need a single copy of because you can search it, and it's the main target I actually search off of my copy of Scar because it has a great ability that you discard a card to add any Vendread monster you want from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect. And it also has the ability when a Vendread monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish any Vendread monster from your graveyard, and then that monster can attack another monster during that battle phase, which is a really good effect to be able to use. We then play 2 copies of Ravenous Vendread. Ravenous Vendread is definitely a 2F in the deck, and this card is almost like an E-Telly ritual spell, which is insane. This card is one of the best cards in the entire deck, that it lets you special summon 1 Vendread monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in face down defense position, except a copy of Vendread Scavenger. Then you apply the following effect, that you ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster that you want from your hand or graveyard by attributing monsters that you control, including the monster special summoned by this effect, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the monster you're attempting to ritual summon, which is a great effect to be able to use. This card is definitely a 2F in the deck. I'd almost play 3 copies of it, but it's so searchable, I ended up just playing 2 copies. We then play 2 copies of Revendread Origin. Origin is a really cool ritual spell as well in this deck, and this card is just amazing to help you ritual summon out your ritual monsters. This card is a really, really good 2F in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Revendread Evolution. Evolution is an insane ritual spell. This card is really good in the deck, and it's one of my favorite ritual spells in the game because this card is going to help you out so much. This card can be used to ritual summon any Revendread ritual monster from your hand or your graveyard. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field, and also send a Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard, whose total levels equal the level of the monster you're attempting to ritual summon, and the ritual monster that you summon is destroyed during the end phase of the next turn, which is totally fine because we're usually just going to summon out a copy of Slayer and then use it as a material for a link summon or go into Ultimate Tzolk'in. But this card is insane because you can send the materials directly from deck off this card, which is such a cool thing. The only downside of this card is it doesn't directly mention any of your Vendread monsters by name on this card, like your copy of Origin mentions your copy of Slayer, and your copy of Ravenous mentions Scavenger to be able to search it with your copy of Pre-Preparation of Rites, which is a little bit of a downside, which is why I play this card as a 3-of in the deck and these as 2-ofs. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is amazing because it lets you add a level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add a ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand if you want to, which is a really cool effect to be able to use with this card. We then play 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-Preparation of Rites is definitely a 3-of in the deck. So it lets you add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand and add a ritual monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand whose name is mentioned on the ritual spell, which is a great effect to be able to use because you can add Slayer or Scavenger off of either your Origin, which is going to grab a copy of your Slayer, or add your copy of Ravenous, which is going to grab a copy of Scavenger, which is really cool about this card. I absolutely love Pre-Preparation of Rites in the deck because it's essentially a +1 and it's a definite 3-of in this build. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single trap, which is going to be a single copy of Vendread Re-Origin. This card is searchable off of Scar, which is why I bumped this card down to 1 in the deck. It lets you target a face a monster opponent controls that has a level and tribute it. And if you do, special summon a Vendread token that's a zombie, dark, attack 0, defense 0, with a level equal to the tributed monster's original level. And then while that monster that is a token is special summoned by this effect is on the field, you cannot normal or special summon monsters except Vendread monsters, but that's totally fine because we can always link the token away for a copy of Savior, which is a really cool thing to be able to just use the token to be able to summon out a really good boss monster from the extra deck. So this card is a definite 1-of in the deck to out your opponent's cards. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start with 2 copies of a Vendread Savior. A Vendread Savior is really good in this deck as a 2-of because I love summoning out this card because it's always treated as a copy of Slayer as well while it's on the field, which is a really good effect to be able to use with your copy of Scavenger because this card will count as Slayer so you can bring it back from the graveyard. But this card is a great ability in this deck because it lets you target a Vendread card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, which is a really cool thing about this card once per turn. And during damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, then quick effect, you can send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and that opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of monster sent to the graveyard times 200 until the end of the turn, which can be a lot of attack points that they can lose off of this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Yugioh, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi. This is one of the best Link monsters to play in zombie decks because it is a zombie Link 4, and it's a really big monster. We then play a single copy of Vampire Fascinator. Fascinator is really good because it helps you step into your copy of your Yugioh, because it has the ability, if this card is Link Summon, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except zombie monsters, but if you can step into Fascinator, you can step into your copy of Yugioh, which is a really cool thing about this card. We then play a single copy of Vampire Sucker. Vampire Sucker is really good in this deck as a 1-of, because this card just helps you out overall because it lets you target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your opponent's field in defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster, and if a zombie monster is special summoned from either player's graveyard, you get to draw a card, giving you a free draw off this card, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Cross Sheep because we do ritual summon in this deck, which is going to let us draw 2 and then discard 2, which is going to help us out a lot in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in. Tzolk'in is insane in this deck. Being able to go in this card with a copy of Diviner plus Slayer is just really good and very easy to do in this deck. And this card is amazing because if you set a card onto your side of the field, you can special summon out a Synchro Dragon that is a level 7 or 8, which is amazing to be able to summon out a copy of Crystal Wing off of this card's effect, which is the best target to be able to summon off your copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in. This card is a walking walking monster negate and just deals with monsters like crazy and is a definite one-of in the build to be able to summon off of Ultimate Tzolk'in. We then play a single copy of Beelze. Beelze is also a great target to be able to summon off your Ultimate Tzolk'in if you need a defensive card, and it's just a really good card to be able to make in this deck with your copy of Unizombie, and it's very easy to make in this build, and it's a really good card. We then play a single copy of SelkyN Punisher. SelkyN Punisher is very easy to make in this build. Here's your copy of Unizombie, and this card can get absolutely massive on the field, which is why we play this card as a one-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. We do play multiple attributes in the deck. Usually you're just going to get the dark effect on this card, but it's really good because monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, which is a really insane effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is great to have as a walking negate and is a great boss monster to make in the deck. Play a single copy of Immortal Dragon. Immortal Dragon is great in this build as well because it can level manipulate itself and also is a walking foolish burial, which is really nice. We then play 2 copies of Herald of the Arclight. Herald of Arclight is really good to be able to send to the graveyard off your copy of Diviner, so you can search out a ritual monster or a ritual spell, making this card a definite 2-of in the deck. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Vendread before, you should definitely give this deck a try. Vendread is relatively budget as well, which is really nice about this deck. I absolutely love playing with Vendread because ritual monsters are just super cool, especially when they're zombies, which is just amazing. I absolutely love this deck, and you should definitely give this build a try. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.